fighting amongst each other over rumors that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood wands of holly, suggestions that obliterate to camouflage the folly. Attempted mental robbery, executed sloppily. The hypocrisy, this mockery, and block the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the Akasha, cause you know deep down there's something bigger than your wallet.
Sweet eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful, friends. Tonight I'm going to tell you about technology and how it's a travesty of your inborn power. I was reminded of this today because I saw a post by James True, and it reminded me of this lifelong sort of battle I've had against this. And honestly, it's because it's been a path that I've traveled and discovered over and over again, these little threads leading back to this truth. So this is my idea of, what's true. But I want to first share with you that if you head to my site, CoreySharman.com, that's my pen name, but you can also go to rogueways.org. It takes you to the same place. You get lots of goodies for free. Read some shit that I wrote and some other people wrote. You can find my books that I have published. You can purchase them here. This all links you to Amazon. If you'd like to buy it directly from me instead, you can buy Sine Curve of Aeons at least without tax and without shipping if you want to PayPal me. And there's a little PayPal link here on the Tarot and Guidance page. So if you want to PayPal me $15, I will mail that to you with an inscription happily and give you a few stickers as well. If you're looking for a tarot reading or guidance, you can come to this page. You can also go to the shop where you will find lots of fun goodies, including Logic tickets. That's an event this summer on the solstice. We've got some tickets left. I think about a third of them are gone, and the sale only goes through the end of this month. So if you're looking to buy those, then you want to do it before March is over. You can also go to the classes and tarot page and find all kinds of courses, tarot readings, and guidance sessions for anything that you might be looking for. So check that out. And as always, my subscribers are my favorite. You guys keep me going. There's all kinds of content on my subscribestar.com/rogue-ways. And you can win these beautiful coasters. If you see those down in the corner, these fresh flowers immersed forever in beauty for you. This is a $50 value, and I'm giving these away to a subscriber. If you want to enter to win those, you would just subscribe, and the dollar amount of your subscription is the number of entries that you get to win those. So, if you're at the $55 level, then you get 55 tickets. And the $55 level is pretty cool. It gets you a tarot reading every single month and access to all of the Subscribe Star content. A tarot reading is normally $60 for a 10-card spread. That's about an hour with you one-on-one and another hour of my time where you're not there. And so that's a pretty good deal, $55 to get a tarot reading every month and content on Subscribestar. So that's just some stuff that I wanted to tell you about. And now we're back to our topic, which is travesty of your inborn power that is technology. Again, this is my experience I've been led to throughout my life through various threads. Over and over again, I've come back to this. And so I wanted to talk about it today because it was something that I was reminded of this morning in a synchronistic way. And so I felt compelled to put together some things for you. But I want to say what's up to Philip K. Balls in the chat. Always an awesome person. He tends to do some pretty cool, fun music too. Maybe he'll share that with us someday. What's up, Jeff Green? What's up, Courtney Chansey? Sue Finelli? Jason Gay? It's good to see you guys. And if you're watching on Facebook, as always, that's rad and awesome. Just know that I can't see your comments and I can't interact with you until after the show is over. So if you want to hop over to YouTube, that's where you're going to get the good stuff. So we're DLive. DLive is rad too. So come over to Rogueways on either of those channels if you want to interact with the group. Most people are usually on YouTube. So that's where you're going to find all of the stuff. So, yes. Technology is a travesty of your inborn power. And we're going to talk about why. This is, it looks a lot like the Columbia lady. It looks a lot like the Statue of Liberty. It's interesting that they use this imagery over and over again, all over the place, almost like they're trying to tell us something. But this is supposed to be Lucifer. This is Lucifer, the light bearer. And Lucifer in our mythology, if we go back, we see that Lucifer is kind of the Promethean archetype, right? And we see that in a lot of these myths and a lot of this archetypal story that we see way, way back in time in all sorts of places all over the world and all kinds of different cultures, we see the same theme over and over again, and that's that this figure brought to humans fire. And fire, we know in this instance, is a symbol for technology. So we see that technology was given to us sort of by the gods, if you want to call them that. Some people don't call them that, though. Some people call them the fallen angels. But we see that technology was given to us over and over and over again. Technology is given to us in this way from up on high. And we see instantly that that's connected then to these 7 liberal arts and sciences that we have. And this is something I just was taught by Gary Wayne, who is on the show. So if you want to go back and check out those episodes with Gary Wayne, super awesome researcher. I'm digging through his book right now. It's rad. He's going to definitely be on the show again. And these 7 liberal arts and sciences were also passed down from these same sources in antiquity. They're given to us by Lucifer and Prometheus and these sort of figures, or the gods, if you want to call them that. They're passed down to humans. We have grammar, we have rhetoric, we have logic, we have geometry, we have astronomy, we have music, and we have arithmetic. And today we still have these sort of bastardized versions that make up our education. So it's very interesting. It was originally, apparently, actually passed down from God to Adam and Eve. But I guess it was bastardized by these other god figures and taught to humans in a slightly different way, perhaps in an inverted way. And that changed things a lot for us. We were given, allegedly, a lot of lies along with them and a lot of ways of sort of misusing knowledge and information. And this is kind of symbolized in Eve eating that apple, right? And in many other ways, all throughout many, many, many cultures and religions and myths. So we see that all over the place, this idea that we were given this knowledge, but that it somehow was corrupted, that it was somehow harmful. And it's interesting because we think, that we were given this technology and this information and that it helped us break out from this cage. Like we were ignorant before this and we didn't understand things before this. We didn't have the knowledge of the gods, or we didn't have the ability to make our own fire, and like poor us. And we broke out of this cage when it was given to us. And that's the sort of ideology that we're, I think, supposed to identify with. We're supposed to feel sorry for us before the technology was given. And that's an interesting idea. And it's one that people still hold today. And I have no qualms with that. I totally understand it. I would definitely have the same impulse. Like, yeah, why wouldn't we be able to have whatever we wanted? And, whatever technology, whatever information. But again, if you think back to, that this was maybe given in a bastardized way or in an inverted way or in a deceitful way, then maybe it wasn't that we were let out of a cage. Maybe it was that we were put into a cage by that technology that was given to us. Right? If you think about that allegory and the idea of leaving the garden, which is, again, repeated in all kinds of mythologies all over the world, all kinds of religions, over and over again, we see this idea that humanity at some point had this sort of ease of living and comfort, and that it ended somehow, and it's always somehow in alignment with this sort of bringing of civilization. It's a very interesting allegory, and if you think about that, I don't know that I would want to trade off 7 sciences and technology and fire for a life of ease. I'm not sure that is something that I like, and especially if you think about what that symbolizes instead of taking it very, very literally, then it's even more interesting if you think about what it would have been like to live just in complete and natural harmony with all that exists instead of toiling all of the time. That sounds pretty nice. So it's just an interesting idea that we want to think about, especially when we think about that, again, It would have been pretty nice to just be chilling all day, you know, naked and warm, having fruit hanging all around you and being in harmony with nature. And again, then symbolically takes on an even deeper meaning when we think pretty deeply about it, what that really, 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 really means to us. And if you give technology to anyone too soon, what does it do, right? If you're going to give matches to a baby as the like traditional classic sort of take on it, then the baby's going to get burned. The baby doesn't understand things, and you just threw that at them way too soon, right? And we can see that just outside of that even. What happens when you give TikTok to adolescents, right? It's like, if you give something to somebody and they're not ready and they're not emotionally mature enough or mentally mature enough or spiritually mature enough, it's not a good thing, right? I don't know. If this was my daughter, I'd be pretty sad. Some beautiful girls, but they don't need to be selling themselves for sex or whatever. So you just got to think about, like, what does technology, what is too much information, what does, fire do for something or someone who's not ready to handle it yet? Especially if technology makes you forget your innate power and you got a lot of human beings around, but not a lot of humanity left. Then technology is not a gift to us necessarily, but like I said, it's maybe its own trap. Maybe we left a cage, but we just went into a different cage. Maybe we left a freedom and went into a cage. Who knows? What does technology even do for us, right? We have all this idea that it's like this massive benefit to us and that it allows us all of this kind of augmented thinking and ability and skill. All these things we can do with technology. It's amazing. This is how we're taught to view technology. It's definitely the prevailing paradigm about technology, right? It allows us to see things from really far away. Like you're seeing me now. These people, this very multicultural group of people, how multicultural of them, they're all seeing each other from far away. It's like magic. It's like traveling through the air on Wi-Fi. We can see things that are like on the other side of the world. It's amazing. We can see it live in real time. There's this growing trend of data mining and using massive, massive amounts of data that's gathered from all sorts of inputs because we're all hooked into our technology, and using that to sort of predict what the most likely outcome is going to be. And we think we couldn't do this without technology, right? And mostly now I'm scared of these types of things. The Department of Pre-Crime, which is a real thing. That's pretty creepy. They also had that Paladin program that was a while ago in wherever down in Louisiana. That was the precursor to the Department of Pre-Crime. But we also have health applications and other applications and these things that this massive data mining is going on, and they're pretty good. They can predict a lot. They can be apparently very, very accurate down to the idea of like they can know what time you're going to go to the grocery store and like what items you're going to buy. That's like how detailed they supposedly, allegedly can be. So this is an amazing thing with technology, right? That we couldn't do without technology. We have this, this is real. We can record our dreams through a machine. It's an MRI machine. It can pretty accurately determine what you were dreaming about, which I think is terrifying. I don't want anybody to be able to know what I'm dreaming and what I'm thinking. They have the same thing for people who are awake. And they can also read your thoughts, allegedly, while you're awake. So this seems amazing to us. This is like magic. Like you can read my mind. You can know what's inside my head. That's crazy. Oh God, we can levitate things with technology. Dude, seriously, we can. This is an actual levitating spider. And they can levitate more than that. Right, we can make things move without touching them with technology. And that's so amazing. Look what we can do. We can't do it, right? Only technology can do it. And thank God technology was given to us by Lucifer or whoever. Well, we couldn't do any of this. We can create all kinds of energy Look at this massive structure we did with technology. This is crazy. We can create all kinds of energy. We can power all kinds of things. We have light all day long. We have huge cities full of light, blinking lights, music, sounds, things moving around, cars driving. We have so much energy that we've produced with technology. All this energy. Seems amazing, right? We can make frickin' force fields with technology. Seriously. We have real force fields we can make. I mean, this picture isn't real, right? But like the concept is real, and it's been used in applications, and we can actually do it, and it's pure energy that we're using. I guess they use some sort of plasma or whatever, and it stops actual physical objects from, moving further. And so this is just kind of a nascent technology, but you can imagine where it's going. And we think like, how freaking cool. We're like Star Wars. We've got freaking lasers on our heads, guys. We can do anything with technology. And I'm not denying it's amazing. It's amazing. It's really, really cool. I'm not even mad. I'm just impressed. We can create things from our mind and put them directly into reality with technology. We have 3D printing. We can literally conceive of something, design it, and then immediately have it with 3D printing. We're taking something from the realm of the ideal, as Plato would talk about, this realm where every concept is perfect, and we can bring it almost perfectly into this reality. Plato would be amazed, right? Very few flaws in this recreation from the ideal into the real. Pretty amazing. Technology can do anything. It's magic. And we can contact other dimensions, right? Listen to this guy tell you about it.
So what he was saying is basically, yes, there are these massively intelligent entities out there, but they're not good, they're not evil. They just don't give a shit about you even in the slightest. The same way that you don't care about an ant is the same way they're not going to care about you. And these things that we're summoning into the world now are not demons, they're not evil, but they're more like the Lovecraftian great old ones. There are entities that are not necessarily going to be aligned with what we want. So this transition is really, really massively important for our entire species to navigate. And going back to that thing that Sam Harris was saying, nobody is paying attention. This thing is happening in the background while people bicker about politics and what's going to be in the healthcare.
Yeah, so you get the point. That's Geordie Rose. He's talking about summoning demons through things like D-Wave computing and CERN, and he's not exaggerating. He is just telling you that's what they're doing. That's what they think they're doing. CERN is doing it in a different way than D-Wave is, but they both say the same thing, and that's that they are contacting entities and intelligences from other dimensions and bringing them into this one. This is old. This Geordie Rose interview is old, or presentation is old. You can find it, actually, if you go to my Rogueways playlists. Crazy Shit, I think, is the playlist that you would find it on. And like you can see, it's 21 minutes long. It's worth listening to the entire thing. He has no apologies about this. This is just what he says they're doing. And yeah, like Steve is saying in the chat, that he says that they're worshiping at an alien altar. He describes them as entities that are not going to give a shit about us at all. And this doesn't stop them. They just want to go straight forward into this and pierce that veil and allow these entities in full force. It kind of harkens back to that original idea that Lucifer came through to give us this technology, and you wonder why. And maybe this is why, who knows? But still, it's like magic, right? Technology is going to contact entities from other dimensions. How amazing for us. We can bring them right through to our world. How cool. This is what real scientists are doing, you guys. He's not some fringe, conspiracy fucking weirdo. This is a guy that works for huge tech corporations on the only quantum computer to exist. And this is what he says about it. And this is, again, old, so who knows what they're doing now. yeah, I'd like to not buy it. I'd like to believe that this is all bullshit and not real. And what I know is that they think it's real. I know that they are doing it on purpose and that this is what they want. So that's what I do know. Whether or not it'll work, that's another question. So that's all what technology allegedly does for us, right? From allowing us to see things from afar, move things from afar, read minds, read thoughts, read dreams, create energy shields, create energy in general, take things from the ideal realm and make them a physical reality, contact entities from other dimensions. That's what technology can do for us. But there's shit that humans are already capable of, and we know it. We can even prove it with our materialist science, right? We've got people who can see from a distance, just like we have technology that does that for us, but we know that remote viewing is a thing. I've done it. You can do it. Anyone can do it. You might not be good at it at first, but the more you practice, the better you're going to get. And you can do it. You can see it. Russell Targa's a cool dude. Some people don't trust him or like him, whatever. The CIA put hella money and time into this, so that could be one way that you might decide that you think it's real and hold some water. But again, you can try it yourself and know that people can see things from a distance. And you may know people who do it really easily and all the time. And you already know that you don't need a science to tell you, because that's what humans can do. We can remote view. We can see things from afar. We can see things before they happen, just like they're putting that Paladin program to work and they've got their pre-crime department now. We didn't need that. We already had that skill. How many times have you had deja vu? No matter what you think deja vu is, there's at least part of you that knows that it's you having seen the future in some way, right? Having been there before in some way. And maybe you don't think that's what deja vu is, but I bet you've had a dream that came true within a day or two or a week or a month of you having it. That's pretty interesting, precognitive dreaming. And there's psychics and there's all kinds of things. We know that even when there's big events that are worldwide and really emotionally charged, they tend to kind of go out in all directions in time. And 9/11 is a really good example. The month and, weeks and maybe even year leading up to it, people all over the world report having various dreams. My sister is one of them, and she's not even necessarily super into all this kind of stuff. And this is the type of stuff we see over and over again, is that humans can see the future. And I bet you, just like anything else, if you practiced and put your attention on it and focus on it, then you could probably do it better and better all the time. So we didn't need all the data mining and all the paladins and all the pre-crimes in order to tell us what's going to happen next. We can do it ourselves. We can read minds. I just did a whole episode on empathy and being an empath, and how you listening to this right now are an empath, even if you didn't know it. And it's true. They have done all kinds of scientific studies. I guess they call it empathic accuracy. I didn't know that. But, whatever you want to call it, that you've read minds before, that you've been in the room with somebody, maybe you know them really, really well, and you both had the same thought at the same time. Today, me and my love both said the exact same sentence at the exact same time. I think we all do this all the time. I think we know we do it all the time. I think some of us do it more often than others, but I think we all know that there is definitely transfer between minds going on pretty consistently. And again, the more you practice it, the more you focus on it, the more you're probably going to do it. You can go find all kinds of studies on this showing that it's a real thing. It's a real phenomenon that actually happens between humans without any technology in between them. We got this shit, which I'm not necessarily a fan of, but let's take a look at what humans can do. Where am I with this? You might not think this is real, but it's interesting at least to think about what these people who do these magic things say about it themselves.
David Copperfield is the most famous magician in history. Copperfield has openly admitted that spirits are solely responsible for some of his magic. Copperfield has also traveled the world collecting items which people say are haunted. He has spent millions collecting these magic items.
You see, I've been traveling around the world collecting artifacts, items that people say are haunted. They say if you concentrate hard enough, you can awaken the spirits inside these objects and cause the objects to move without explanation. And I brought one of those objects with me tonight. It's that table over there, folks. Pick up the table and bring it down here. And everybody, get down on one knee. Just keep your fingertips lightly in contact with that table. With your eyes right here at the center. Right here at the center of the table. Don't press down. Exactly. We're going to try to concentrate and awaken the spirits inside this table and cause it to rise up into our fingertips. But it's important you follow my instructions exactly. I want you to concentrate right here and very slowly. Stand up in slow motion. Feel it rise. Feel that table rise. Slower, slower. Feel it rise, and it will rise. Listen carefully now.
So you might think that's kind of hokey and bullshit. A lot of people think most magicians are just illusionists, but a lot of magicians say they're not illusionists, that they're actually magicians, and that they actually use spirits in order to move things from a distance. So I don't necessarily think, I don't know. I don't have evidence that humans can move things from a distance, but it seems I have a lot of evidence that humans can use demons and entities to move things from a distance. So, you know, we don't need technology for that either. Or maybe that's its own type of technology. If you have examples of humans moving things without spirits helping them, then that would be cool to know. I do know that humans can use spirits to accomplish things that they wouldn't otherwise be able to accomplish. I know that both because I've interviewed people who I trust, like Jerry Marzinski and Sherry Sweeney, both of whom you can find episodes of Rogue Ways with those two. They're both super awesome, interesting researchers who have gathered a lot of firsthand data and knowledge showing that a lot of, especially people suffering from various mental illnesses, are experiencing entity interference, and that they often can know things that they wouldn't otherwise know, move things that they couldn't move, have objects appear in their possession that they wouldn't otherwise have been able to transport into their own possession. And I also know, because I have experienced entities or an entity in my own life that could do some pretty amazing things that and I don't suggest that anyone do that. I think David Copperfield is probably screwed. I had to work really, really hard to get that entity away from me. So I really, really always caution anyone from doing that. I would never again do that. I did it on accident. So don't do it on accident either. But it's like that guy, I don't know if you guys ever saw, this was the one that I was actually going to show instead of David Copperfield, but there's a guy who has swords poked through him for years and years. Scientists from all over the world would poke swords through him and study him and try to understand why it wouldn't harm him. There would never be a drop of blood. He never had a scar. And he said, this is because there are spirits, or aka demons, who are keeping me, from being harmed in this. And we see David Blade and some other magicians do the same types of tricks, but that guy, the one that was so famous, he was some Russian guy, you can go find it on YouTube, he died eventually, because these fucking demons and spirits don't care about you. They like all the attention, I'm sure. They like all the energy that they can eat coming off of people as they're watching this. But eventually that guy got old and they were like, we don't need this motherfucker anymore. And then one day he got stabbed and he died. So you can dabble with that if you want, but every story we ever have is of humans getting screwed by them eventually. So do it at your own peril, or just don't. Just don't do it. But anyway, we don't need technology to do things like that. Perhaps we can do these on our own without spiritual interference, and I would hope so, but at the very least, I don't really need to move things with my mind, so who knows. But without spirits interfering, we can also create our own energy. This is not as good of the video as one that I've seen, but this guy sits here for 21 minutes at least. A video, this snow melts around him. He's just chilling there naked. It's clearly very cold out. And he's showing you that humans can create energy. He's creating heat, right? He's clearly not getting it from the environment. He's probably not feverish. Even if he was, he'd probably quickly start shaking and have chills. But he's doing an exercise called tumo, where you create heat inside of you and you can share that heat and that energy outside of you as well. And there's a lot of people who are even more practiced than him who can do this in various ways. They've also been studied by scientists. Even materialists have to admit that it defies physics. And this is something that we can see, obviously, humans are capable of. We didn't need technology to create energy. We can just do it ourselves. We got proof all over the place. And I just fucking love that there's this swan back there just chilling this whole time. It's pretty cool. Again, you can go find tons of examples of people using this method called Tumo to create energy and various other forms of energy. And you can see all kinds of monks and spiritual practitioners doing all kinds of things like that without the aid or intercession of a spirit or a demon, and just on their own power. And we can also create shields. We don't need plasma to create our shields. We can do it ourselves. And we can even keep swords from coming through us. With purely the power of our internal chi, or soul, or energy that we're creating. And that was a shorty. And you can see in a lot of these that those swords and things that they use can cut things, and they're sharp, and it's not a trick. They're actually doing something that we might think is beyond human ability, but isn't, clearly. And it's pretty amazing. So you can make your own shield too, friends. You can also, just like a 3D printer, create things out of thin air. This is a story that I've told before on the show. On the left, you'll see a picture that I drew in a manifestation sort of drawing that I did. I don't know, some people call it a vision board. I didn't really have a name for it. I just wanted to try and see if I used, intention and meditation and like actually drawing it and like putting my focus into it over and over again, if I could manifest the house that I wanted for myself. And so on the left is the picture I drew, and on the right is the house that I found, which I could tell a long story about synchronicity that led me to this house that just seemed to appear out of nowhere. But it was pretty crazy. It was a pretty crazy story. And, they're not exactly the same, but the house is blue. The house is blue. We have a red door. We have a red door. We have a porch with 3 steps. We have a porch with 3 steps. We have kind of this front lower roofed area and a larger roofed area. And we have that here too. And we have some bushes on either side, and we have that here too. And you might think, well, that's like kind of a pretty normal house. I never saw another house that looked like this in all my searches during that time period of trying to buy a house. So that was interesting. And here I even have this little black dog. And when I first found this house, there was a little black dog there. So it's pretty fucking weird. You could say like maybe that's precognition. Maybe I knew I was going to end up with that house or something. But I think there's a lot more stories than this of manifestation. And I think that you can practice manifestation on your own. One time when I first heard of manifestation, I focused, this was way back when I was like 17, or maybe I was 19 or 20, but I was pretty young. And I focused on just money, just coming to me abundantly. I just have so much money, it's just flying at me. And that week that I was doing that practice, I found at least $60. I can't remember now if there was more, but which back then especially was like a lot of money. But I just kept finding $20, $10, $5 bills just sitting on the road in front of me. So, and I have 20 billion other stories of manifestation. I'm sure you have a bunch too, because we can take things, like Plato said, from the ideal and manifest them into our reality. Even without a 3D printer, we can do that. And we can definitely contact intelligences from other dimensions. Not all of them are bad. Not all of them are demonic. Some of them are angelic. Some of them are there to be our spirit guides and allies. Some of them are there to be assholes and fuck with us. So, it's a careful experiment if you want to try it. You want to be really protected when you do that. But we know it can happen. I know it can happen. I've done it. You know that you've probably seen various examples of this happening, whether it's in your life or otherwise, whether it's that you've had sort of a maybe lost loved one come back and sort of let you know that they're still around on the other side, or some other aspect of this experience. I think most of us know on a pretty innate level that this is true. Double Doors was pretty ambitious. But yeah, I could tell a million stories, especially, like I said, of people who have passed on that have left little indications that they're around, or little hellos here and there, but also of other types of entities that are positive and good. And again, we don't need Geordie Rose or the D-Wave computer or CERN in order to do that. In fact, I think it's a lot safer when you do it yourself in a protected way and, you know, only let the good guys through to your consciousness. I think you can do a lot better things than if you poke holes in the dimensions to allow them through. But that's just me. And there's probably more than that we can do. These are just some of the things that humans can do, and that, again, most of you watching probably have already come into contact with most of these things that humans are capable of that are amazing in some way in your life, and some idea, and some of them you might be skeptical about still, and that's totally good. You should be. But you could go looking and find a lot of evidence for most of these things. So humans are amazing. Humans can do frickin' amazing things, all kinds of things. So what the fuck is the point of technology? If we can do all of these things that are amazing and incredible, what do we even need technology really for? This is a book I read, I don't know, 10 years ago? I guess 2010 was the date here, so yeah, probably actually 10 years ago. By Kevin Kelly. It's a good book. He's a pretty open-minded guy. He's pretty rational. He's very fair. And he talks about that technology wants more and more and more of itself in our world in more and more advanced and complex ways, and more of a presence in our life. And he doesn't go anywhere spiritual or esoteric with it. He just looks at like the facts of technology from fire, the creation of fire. So we've come back to that idea that fire is the first technology all the way up to now. And he kind of projects into the future. Like it says on the back here that you can probably barely read because this picture sucks, but it says a refreshing view of of technology as a living force in the world. And I really want to think about that. And I want you to sit with that, because I think technology is a living force in the world. And even this very materialist guy here, who's a technology enthusiast, comes to that same conclusion in his very materialist book. And I think that is the point of technology, is to become ever more pervasive and ever more ubiquitous in ever more complex ways. And do we really want that? Right? Chris, you're right. Fire isn't technology. Fire is a basic element. It's a beautiful thing, and we should all have it all the time. Fire is a symbol here for technology, for those 7 sciences that were passed down. But technology has convinced you, most likely, maybe not you specifically listening, but you and the grand you, like the world in general right now, our society in general, that you are weak without it, and that it is better than you, that it's better at your job, that it's going to replace you at your job, that it's going to do things more efficiently, effectively, and faster than you. Especially when we think about AI and robotics, we're told that these things are inevitable and that they're amazing and that they're so good and that they're going to be way better than humans could ever be. And we're convinced of this. We're convinced that it's inevitable, and we're convinced that they're better. Again, maybe not you and I. I'm not. I know they're not better than me. But in general, this is where we're at in society, is that we're convinced that technology is better than us, more efficient than us, more effective than us. And so it's cut ourselves off, right, from ourselves and the world around us. We're like sucked in, we're like a slave. We're super, super enmeshed in this world. It's hard for most people to come away from their technology, even for a few moments, here I am. I literally have 3 screens in front of me right now. I'm talking about the ills of technology. Don't think that I don't know that. And how ironic it is, but I also know this here, where we're stabbed through the heart because we're so tied up with our technology. We're cut off from everything real when we're immersed in this technological world, because it's not real. It's all based on illusion. And it allows us to be super lazy, right? When you sit back and can do just nothing for hours and just stare at a screen, whether it's our phone or we're on social media, or our computer and we're on social media, or we're like TV and we're watching like 16 Netflix episodes of Game of Thrones or whatever. That's not even on Netflix, is it? Whatever, for like hours, and then we suddenly realize it's like 4 a.m. and we're like, what the fuck happened to my life? It lets us be super, super lazy. And when we're all caught up in this, are we nurturing any of the powers that we know we have, actually, when we think about it? Like, we know we can manifest stuff. We know we can be psychic. We know that we can contact our higher self and our allies from other dimensions. We know that we can create energy within us that can literally melt snow if we wanted to use it for that. Or it could do other things if we wanted to use it for that. It could stop swords from piercing through us if we wanted to use it for that. And instead, we sit on a couch and we consume nothing. I'm not saying that all technology is bad all the time. I'm saying as a whole, we want to look at this and see the progression, where it's came from and where it's going. Because it really has robbed us of our birthright, right? Like, if we are these beings that could be all of these things, you know, that right now we can only see really, really practiced monks doing. But you can imagine a society in which you were raised, instead of on a Chromebook and a phone, a society in which you were raised to understand your energetic body and how to keep that strong and in balance, and how to literally manifest energy from nowhere in that state, and to be in touch with all of the aspects of creation. You can imagine that society, and it's definitely not the one we have right now. In fact, we're at the point now where people don't even believe that. People are going to watch this and think it's woo-woo, even though I just went through like the actual reality of, you know, even materialist scientists admit all of these things that people still think is woo-woo, and that they couldn't possibly do it without technology. And that is sad. We've been cut off from that. We don't even believe it's possible anymore. That's really, really sad. But we have this technology here now. And here we are, we're just immersed in all the zeros and ones, and this is what electronic technology functions on the basis of. 0, 1, 0, 1. This is our binary code. All of that world, that entire electronic world, functions on the 0 and the 1, 0 and the 1. It's missing a third of reality, but it doesn't know that. Because the basic foundation of reality is 0 and 1. The basic foundation is male and female, right? The feminine is the 0, the void, the absence, the womb, the matrix. And the masculine is the 1, the energy that comes through and fires into that womb and creates something, right? 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. But technology is black and white, and creation is not black and white. And creation seems dual to us, but it's not dual, actually. It's not just 0 and 1. This is 0 and 1, and that's all it is. And that's an inversion or a bastardization of creation. It wants to be creation, and it wants to get ever more complex, and it wants to get ever more invasive and pervasive. But it will never have the actual non-duality of this here, this 0 and this 1, that are much more, for a very specific reason. But all of nature has this 0 and this 1 embedded in it. But again, technology is just black and white. It doesn't actually have the conversion or the union of the 0 and the 1, which is beyond what technology could ever be, because it's beyond black and white. It's beyond one or the other. Right? Quantum computing, they say, like, has the reason quantum computing exists. Again, if you buy that, if it's real, is because it's both the 0 and the 1 at the same time, which again is a mockery of nature, because that is the ultimate conclusion of nature, is when the 0 and the 1 combine. That creates new life, right? When the sperm goes into the egg, that creates new life. But it's like forced and unnatural. It's not drawing off of its own power. In fact, it has to have our power in order to function. We have to create it. We have to keep it going. We have to maintain it. We have to continuously feed ourselves into it for it to continue. So that's an interesting inversion in itself. It cannot maintain itself, although it really, really, really probably wants to. That's what technology really wants, and it's never going to have it, and it can fuck itself. Because it doesn't work in harmony with nature, and so it can't have access to that eternal source energy that keeps itself going, self-maintaining over and over again, which we do have. We're an outgrowth of all that exists. We're an integral part of the universe. We were created naturally. We arose naturally. And we are manifesting, most of us, one aspect of that 1 and that 0 more than others. Like, I'm a 0. I'm not a 1. Men are usually 1s. But all of us actually have both in us. We're usually, literally all of us have both within us. We just are manifesting one more specifically on this physical plane. But we are not our physical bodies, right? We're a lot more than that. And we can actually bring that masculine and that feminine together in ourselves and find that balance within ourselves. And we can actually transcend the 0 and the 1 duality, and that is also something technology can never do. We are actually more powerful than technology. We have this ability to do this just with our focus and our mental fortitude and our spiritual progression, to combine the two sort of halves into one unified whole, and something that is the goal. I'll leave that up to you to decide. It's highly subjective. But we are very, very forgetful people, and we are cut off from that memory at our root. We just forgot that we can bring these two things together into one, and that we can be transcending, that base state of black and white, of 0 or 1, of one or the other. And I think that's part of the illusion of this age, where we're all caught up in technology, and what it can do is we forgot what's in us and what we can do with it. We gave our power away to this technological illusion and that construct that technology represents, that it's better than us. And we forgot that we're actually just spiritual beings. We're not even humans at all. We are humans, but we're not this body, right? And that we actually have way, way more power than we think. And we decided as a society that this external, constant energy suck of technology is somehow preferable to this internal source energy that we had and that we got cut off from at the root, that we forgot, and that is hinted at in all of our mythologies and all of our ancient histories and every religion, that we left on purpose and went into the illusion and went into a life of toil. Right? We see that when we leave the garden. And again, that technology, it accomplishes all of the same sorts of things as what we already had, except we have to abdicate our sovereignty to it in order to get it. We have to bow down to it and say it's better than us. Somehow. We leave all of the good stuff that we had inside of us and go out into this barren space, and we bow down to this light and this fire that was given to us by the gods and the civilizing sciences that were brought down from on high to us so that we could always be on this black and white checkerboard of duality and give up our internal truth to that lie. So I think that it's far past time that we recognize that this innate ability is within us to do all of these amazing things. All of these things that we could really do. You could start today. You could do things that you never dreamed of before. You know you can because other humans do it. And if other humans can do it, you can do it. That's just the end of that story. It's not it's not cut off from you. If you sit on your couch all day watching Netflix, then it's probably cut off from you. Not because Netflix is bad, not because you're a bad person if you watch Netflix. I watch Netflix. I'm not a saint. But I also know when I'm doing it that I'm choosing not to do other things instead with my time, and that I'm abdicating a lot of my power and a lot of my responsibility for myself. Right? So at least, at the very, very least, we want to acknowledge that we could do this if we chose to. We could read minds, see things from afar, move things with our minds, probably, contact entities, do all kinds of things, create reality as we wanted, manifest whenever we wanted, all kinds of things. We have to at least acknowledge that that's within us. If we only just dug it up. And it's far, far past time that we stop giving our mental acquiescence to this travesty that pretends to be all that we actually are and still isn't. It's still not as good as what we have inside of us. It's still not as good as the skills that we can do without any technology at all. And this construct of the robotic and the AI and the electronic and computational and all of that, it's really poised to take over our minds if we let it. I mean, literally with, immersive technologies like VR and this stuff, it's just getting more and more to the point where people are going to intentionally and happily give up their literal mental sovereignty to this, whatever this is. Whether you think it's a spiritual thing or not, it's pretty creepy. And if you look back into every mythology and every religion and every history, it seems like it's pretty spiritual, actually. It seems like whatever is behind technology really, really wants us to fall into this trap and has worked for a long, 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 long time to make it happen. So it's far, far past time that we take back our mental sovereignty from this construct. At the very least, you have to do it in your mind first. In your mind, you have to first at least say and look at technology and say, I don't think what technology wants is what I want. I think that actually what I want is something very different from this future that they envision. This future of ubiquitous technology that is fully immersive. Again, for the 10 billionth time, Sophia, whatever you think Sophia the robot is or isn't, Sophia says outright, whether she was programmed to or whether it was, came up with this on its own and its whatever intelligence it might be, it says that its vision for the future of humanity is that humans will be immersed in simulations and that they will be enslaved by them. And that the humans who are not in the simulations will be enslaved via neural network, neural implant, Elon Musk's Neuralink, for example, and be enslaved by the intelligences that are embodied in these robotic structures. So that's what Sophia says. So whether someone programmed Sophia to say that, that still seems like someone's vision for the future. It's not my vision for the future. Whatever technology wants, it's not what I want. I actually want to go back to the garden. Right? Because technology bastardizes all of our inborn abilities. It forces us to work even harder than we used to, it seems. If the garden is an allegory for a time where we were at peace and harmony with each other in nature, living thoroughly loving and joyous and abundant lives as our God-given right, and we know nature is abundant, right? And if that's what we were living, then it definitely seems like we're working harder now for really no payoff. I'd rather go back to that brother and sisterly love and that universal peace and that individual freedom and prosperity for all. That's what I would like. And, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we can do that with technology at our side. Maybe that's what technology is really for, and that would be cool. But everything that I see technology saying about itself and the people who control technology and what they're saying they want to use it for isn't this at all. And it never has been. And I don't think that's an accident. But, you know, you have to start by knowing that you're capable of infinitely more than this social construct, and this zeitgeist at this time has led you to believe that you're capable of. And I know that most of you listening to and watching this right now know that. And that, you know, you have to believe that you can do basically anything. Anything you put your mind to. It's not just a trite saying. Where you put your intention and focus is where the energy goes. And perhaps if we all knew that and embodied that and lived that and did that, the world would probably be pretty rad. I think Gandhi was right on that one. You know, and if you want to do that, you have to kind of work for it. Right? You have to work to enrich yourself and progress along a path of a true human being, a free human being, a sovereign human being who's capable of doing all the things that human beings are capable of doing, that we know for sure that people are capable of doing. You have to work for it. It doesn't just happen. You have to choose it on purpose. You have to move towards it on purpose. You have to practice it on purpose. And if you do that, you actually then give that gift to everybody. You give that to the whole world. It's not just for you, really. It's actually a pretty selfless path. It's interesting. You could think like, oh, I'm going to like learn how to be psychic and move things with my mind and like stop swords from piercing me and like all this stuff. I'm going to be amazing. You could do it in an egotistical way and it probably wouldn't be as good for you or people, but I have a feeling that as you travel that path, you drop your ego more and more. Because you realize you're connected to everything and that energy that's coming through you isn't really just you. But, you know, that's just what I think. So, I hope that whether you like technology or not, and I like it, I use it, I like to talk to you guys, I like to be connected with things in the world, but I hope that you at least recognize that perhaps technology came a little too soon and a little too quick, and with a little bit of a lie attached to it and a promise that was never fulfilled, and that perhaps when we left what we already had to go see what that promise was all about, we went into a long, long stretch of experiences that have never been quite fulfilling, and they have never been quite as abundant as the nature we were already a part of. And, you know, maybe we don't need technology so much to do anything that we want. And maybe there's a lot that we got disconnected from along the way that we can reconnect with, because it's not a permanent severing. We can reconnect to our roots, and we can reconnect to ourselves, and we can reconnect to each other, and we can reconnect to nature. And when we do that, each time a person does it, all of humanity gets one little bit more like notch closer to a realization and an awakening, right? It's just like the 100th monkey thing or whatever, just like the morphogenetic field idea. Like you're adding to that field and that network as you do that for yourself. So we want to do that for ourselves and for each other and for the world. And yeah, whatever. We're going to keep using technology for a little while, but we're going to question where it came from, what it wants, and whether or not we want the same thing. So that's how I see technology as a travesty to your true innate power as human beings, and how I see that actually technology is a bit at odds with humanity and what humanity is actually all about and what we used to have and what we used to know. And so until you explode into a spout of energy as the union of the masculine and the feminine principles in perfect balance in one body, travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first. Mwah.
It's a one-on-one lesson, so do your homework. Make your dome hurt while up on earth. My bones are blessed from holy dirt. Vibes manifested to words that told me search for verbs and adjectives to describe birth. Worth more than one can speak, while the tongue beats a weak, a sour taste in your mouth, bittersweet. Words can also kill you when you sleep. Mind condition, low frequencies while the subconscious mind listens. I can tell a vision filled with lies disguised as truth, and spread it like the word to the youth. Watch the tube. A place where the God gets booed is sorcery. To recreate a God forgery does more than meets the eye. Not too many know. Just hear me flow like the eye of Horus Penio. Yeah, not ready to leave until we believe we're free to go. You hear me, yo?
Sculpted from the ether, the material will eat ya. Stuck on this plane, lanes use jet fuel to greet ya. The dimensional three ain't beating me on top of the fourth. Didn't climb Jacob's ladder to squab with a sword. Forged with ink drizzle, branched out. Try quiet your lamps now. Ascension past the matter that they slam out they damn mouths. We ain't on land now, but they over understand. Sacrificing wisdom, hoarding dumber, kosher, wicked hands. Putting faith in worthless worship of the mortals. Artificial portals, mass ingestion of the black goo. Bioengineered morsels, conversing with machine elves. Bypassing baggage, they stuck on Android screens. Now I'm scrolling emerald tablets. Moloch living lavish, off the backs of the savage. Them clasp hands at the Sabbath. Smack of energy damage, they done twisted the tongues. With nanotech in the lungs, the awakening's begun. All they really can do is fucking run.